Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, what is going on? How you guys all doing tonight? This is the Club of the Man, 1993, who sometimes has to pee, whose dog does not step on bees, but I will buy one and get one free when I find out who lives in the pineapple under the sea. Yes, my wife's probably going to want to barge down here and kill me for doing all that rhyming. But, hi. How you guys doing tonight? First off, before I get into my introductions, well, I partially did, but get further on into the introductions, I need to share this link on Twitter, because I forgot to share the link on Twitter before I went live. So let me just, if you don't mind, excuse me just for 1 second, I'm going to go to the Twitter, and I'm going to share this link. Hang on. Waiting for it to load. Come on. I do see Tyler's in the live chat. Thank you also for joining us, Tyler. Definitely get your early comments in there for me to read and address in just a second. All right. We are live. Tag WWE's Twitter. And of course, waiting for it to type through. Obviously, since I am live and recording, it's always going to be a little bit of a lag of my type. Okay, we're there and posted. All right, there we go. So now that I got that taken care of, let's X out of Twitter, or X out of X, and let's get on with the show tonight. What's going on? This is the Club of the Man 1993, and I'm not going to mention what I said before with all my rhymes, because I know if my wife peeks and sees I'm doing that, she will definitely come down here and destroy me. But anyways, we indeed are here live on YouTube for the first time in a few weeks, actually, also, for my live preview and predictions for WWE Summerslam 2025. The first year that SummerSlam, the biggest party of the summer, is a 2-night spectacle. Takes place this coming Saturday, August 2nd, and this Sunday, August 3rd, 2025, at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. I believe the last time we were at MetLife Stadium, that was WrestleMania 35. WrestleMania 35 does have a very special place in my heart. Not only was it the last WrestleMania to be just one night only, but the man himself was in attendance. And that's tonight also when Becky Lynch became Becky Two Belts as well. So I believe this is the first time we're going to be there since that happened. I believe so. I unfortunately, of course, did not go to SummerSlam this year. Obviously, you know, with the locations the past couple years, Detroit, Cleveland, this year, New York, New Jersey, wherever you want to call it, all of them close by to me. Again, I did, of course, go to 2023 SummerSlam, but again, right now, just not able to put it in the books. My good friend, though, Daniel Gaiza, is going to be in attendance this weekend, though. He just flew out to New York today, so I do hope he does have a good time at the show this weekend. I, of course, will be watching it when I can this weekend. I do have plans on Saturday during the day, so I don't know if I'll be home in time for the start of night 1, but I should be home in time for night 2. I think, yes. I have a softball game at 2:15, and that's it. So I should be home by then. But we're going to take a look at all 12 of the matches happening on this card for SummerSlam. First off, before I get into the preview, again, I do want to apologize for my lack of content this past month. Again, it's just been a busy month. A lot going on. A lot of things came up this month that I literally just had to just sit back and think about some things out for a little bit. Nothing bad, don't worry. It's just, just some big boy decisions basically I had to make for me, my wife, my son, and whatnot. But, all is good. I'm looking forward, though, to moving on to August. Again, it's had its highs, it's had its lows. I enjoyed the highs, but not the lows. So I'm definitely looking forward to moving on to August. And again, starting off with SummerSlam is a good way to do so. I will say, it's one of those shows that when I do predictions, that I really feel like I'm picking at my brain. And just getting these booking ideas of matches where there could be multiple different outcomes I can see happening. Which is why I want to make sure I have the right energy and the time to talk about all of that for a show like this, especially. That is definitely, going to be having some interesting, things I want to throw out there as far as things I see happening or could happen down the line or some long-term booking. I read in this, it's going to be a good wrestling show. No, this show, like last year's SummerSlam. Last year's SummerSlam, I really enjoyed because it was full of moments. It had stuff with, cracks in the Judgment Day, with Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio being revealed they've been a duo altogether, and that's when Dom turned on Rhea. We also had when Finn Balor turned on Damian Priest and cost him his World Heavyweight Championship. We had Seth Rollins involved with the match with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, which is also Punk's first one-on-one match in WWE in over 10 years. We also had LA Knight defeat Logan Paul for the United States Championship. And of course, we also did have the return of the OTC for the first time since losing his belt at WrestleMania 40, Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is on the card for this year's show, though, in a match that will actually be the first one we talk about when we start talking about the matches. But yes, I am definitely very intrigued by this show. Again, there's a lot of things some fantasy booking ideas I want to throw out there. I think it's going to be a really good show. A lot of people are predicting this is going to outdo WrestleMania. It could. WrestleMania this year, again, was good. But it was definitely one of the weaker ones I've seen personally. Good, but not great. This SummerSlam, though, could lead to some very interesting things happening. Some interesting, character growths. Changes in directions. Maybe a heel turn or two. Who knows? But I've laid out the card we have. We have 6 matches on both nights. The 2 I'm very surprised, though, didn't make the card. I really thought we were going to get something with Stephanie Vaquer and the Bella Twins and the Secret Harvest. More so because I thought they would want to get Stephanie Vaquer on the card since she has a women's title match, which is probably going to be for the Women's World Championship at Clash in Paris next month. And then I was also thinking they were going to do Damian Priest and Aleister Black, but as of now, it looks like that's not happening either. So we have 6 matches on both nights. No big deal. As far as the 2-night thing, again, I really don't think SummerSlam should be a 2-night show, if I'm being 100% honest. I think WrestleMania should be the only show that's 2 nights. I get it, they want to get more matches on the card. I get it, Triple H wants to give the matches the proper time they deserve. I get the smaller cards. But if you keep making shows like SummerSlam, or eventually Survivor Series or Rumble, all 2 nights, WrestleMania is going to kind of lose its special feel with it being 2 nights. WrestleMania, I can understand that being 2 nights. But the other ones don't need to be. So, we'll still see how this goes. We'll see if this is still even worth doing 2 nights, even though I thought next year's SummerSlam was going to be the first 2 nights. Next year's is going to be in Minneapolis, I believe. They announced that one first before they announced this one. But yeah, still a lot of interesting points to talk about. We're going to get right into it. But let's check our live chat, see who we got here. Just Tyler so far. He says SummerSlam should not be 2 nights. It's overkill. Yes, again, I said, I have agreed that they should make every single show 2 nights. So I don't want this to be like a starting trend. Jade should not win the belt. She's not ready. I 100% agree. We'll get into that when we get to it. And the Judgment Day. Yeah, but I feel like it's not going to be over yet. But it has to be soon. But there's some things that are kind of cooking still, thanks to Roxanne Perez. They said Adam Page winning the world title is better than Cody's? What? Again, I said my AEW All-In review that, again, although I'm not going to lie again, Hangman Adam Page is one of the few people from AEW that does, like, draw my eyes. I still don't think that was his story to finish with him and the Death Riders. And I didn't get to watch last night's show yet. I'm being told by a friend that apparently the world title rematch was better than All In. I have a hard time believing that, but I'll see with my own eyes whenever I watch it. But no, Cody's win was definitely much more bigger than Hangman Adam Page's. I'm sorry. I definitely cannot agree with that. But so far, that's all we got. Hopefully, we have more of that pile in. So we're going to get on and get rolling. Also, could one more person please watch my SummerSlam preview and predictions card? On YouTube, last I saw, it had 999 views on it. Please, give it that one more to give it 1,000. Please. So, we're going to get in, though. We're going to get rolling and talk about this show. And we will have a blast and go for it. So, as usual, I am going to predict the matches in order of how I think they're going to happen on both nights. They have revealed which matches are going to be on which card both nights. They haven't really made official of what's going to be the main event of night 1. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Gunther and CM Punk. But I do feel, although I'm not as positive, there is a chance I feel like they could make the tag match with Roman, Jay, and Braun and Bronson also possibly the main event of night 1. But if not, then that's going to be the match that opens the show. One of those two will. And I feel like the most appropriate one, in my opinion, is especially with what I'm thinking could be happening for Gunther and Punk, I feel like you have to get this match out of the way with first. So we're going to open up SummerSlam on night 1 with Roman Reigns and Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Again, the big thing to wonder here is Seth Rollins' injury. Is he legitimately hurt? Which I have a feeling yes. Or is he as injured as they make it seem like it? We're going to more so get into that when we get to the Punk and Gunther match. Because if Seth Rollins is going to make an appearance on this show, I feel it's going to be during that match if he does show up. And we'll talk about again that when we get to the Gunther and Punk match. But again, I don't know if this was the original plan. I don't know if they were going to do this tag match or if it was going to be a 6-man tag with like Rollins and Punk maybe added to it. But then again, I'm pretty sure Punk was going to be fighting for the world title. Either way, I don't know. Or if it was going to be Roman and Seth, which at some point they're going to do that. I would say at this point, they could do it at WrestleMania. And yes, I know there's still, what about The Rock? Again, guys, unless The Rock is going to actually show up and be committed. Again, I unfortunately have disappointed in The Rock with how he was involved in one of the biggest angles in the company's history with John Cena's heel turn Elimination Chamber, just to back out and think, I've done my job. Most likely because he didn't get his way and have Cody go heel instead. I kind of soured on The Rock a little bit. He's got a little making up to do. So I'm not going to predict that match happening anytime soon unless I see it with my own 2 eyes. As of now, I'm thinking it's going to be Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 42. And that's final with that. Unless they do CM Punk and Seth Rollins with the title. Those are the two options for Seth Rollins for next year's WrestleMania, in my opinion. And then if Roman doesn't fight Seth, have him fight Braun Breaker. But this tag match, like I said, don't know if this is the original plan, but we have this instead. I'm thinking, so one thing I'm going to knock Triple H on is I feel like he's had some storylines where he's gone through what he did was fine, but he could have dove deeper into them. Last year with the Bloodline reuniting against the new Bloodline with Solo's group, I felt could have been better. I still feel like, they came together because they all have a common enemy. But I also feel like that, the issues they had with each other could have been more addressed. And I'm saying you have to dive into it and do another Roman Reigns and Jey Uso match or something like that. No, I'm not saying you have to, lead to that. Although Jey has mentioned that once he cools off with the Yeet stuff, he wouldn't mind doing one last heel run. But I still think that's a little bit further down the line for Jey. I still think, especially with a match like this, where Roman and Jey don't need the win. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, I think, need the win much more. And it's interesting, though, because, again, we don't know the extent of Seth Rollins' injury. Is he going to be out for a while? Did he tear another muscle in his knee? Or did he just tweak it and he's just going to be out just for a little bit? They haven't stripped him of the briefcase, even though Paul Heyman has said he has until next June to do so. Which is mean that even he's going to be out long term, not going to take the briefcase off him, but I don't know. But either way, since Seth has been gone, they're definitely shown that they plan on going all in with Braun Breaker. They've really given Braun a spotlight, such as in that promo before the Gauntlet match himself, his mission, where basically he's saying that he's taking Seth's spot. I feel like it's signs to show that this is someone that they're going to go all in on. So, first, to mention my winner. Definitely Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Braun Breaker, I think, though, should pin Roman Reigns. I think if they have them pin Jey, that's taking the easy way out. I think it would be much more interesting and much more appealing to have Braun Breaker pin Roman Reigns. Not saying that Bronson Reed can't get the pin, but Braun Breaker's definitely the bigger long-term star. And I think him pinning Jey is going to be whatever. But him pinning Roman, that will have a lot of effect. But I think what needs to happen, and I'm not saying have them have a full-on fallout, kind of itch at the fact that Roman and Jey still kind of have their unresolved differences. And again, it doesn't have to lead to, him and Roman having another match with each other. But it can lead to a fact that, they're building trust in each other again. That, maybe, at WrestleMania next year when we do get Roman and Seth. Maybe they have, they're obviously going to have, Seth's going to have a group, Roman's going to have a group. Build, that stronger bond with the group and to overcome the obstacle. Maybe, is what I'm thinking. Like I said, you don't have to have it so that Jey turns on Roman. Just tease the fact that they still have some unresolved differences. Is what I think they should do. So now, like I said, Braun Breaker should get the win by pinning Roman. That's the best bet I think should happen with that. Braun pinning Roman. Roman and Jey don't need this win. Again, I'm not really thrilled, though, with how they just backed off on Jey and just get dropped in the world title. And even though he's fought for opportunities, I'm worried that they're going to either Big E or Kofi him. Where it's they just reduce him back down to the mid cards or just a tag team wrestler, and that's it. I mean, he's still over Rover right now, don't get me wrong, but I'm also worried they're not gonna let him finish his spotlight in the main event scene as they should have. Again, you didn't need to drop the title to Gunther just for him to defend it against Goldberg, who whined about his final match give me a break. But yes, Braun Breaker wins for his team by pinning Roman Reigns. And also there's some like scratching the surface still about how there is technically some unresolved issues with Roman Reigns and the Bloodline, him and Jay for sure. So that's like how we're going to open the show. Then we're going to have this tag match. There's 3 tag matches on night 1. For the women's tag team championships, Judgment Day's Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez taking on the team of Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. Now, this one was a little tough for me to predict because the team of Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair is actually getting over. It's this whole, like, de facto team where, Alexa's the loved one. Charlotte, not so much, but she is getting some more positive chants. Again, she got a "We Won Charlotte" chant at Evolution. And that's probably because WWE finally just, took a step back on her. And like I said, I don't mind Charlotte getting title shots or being a champion. But when all she does is fight for championships, why are you going to support someone who seems to be always, be getting treated like that? So, you back off, you put her in, a non-title feud, well, a lower level feud like this storyline, then cool. Again, the only problem I still have with this team with her and Alexa is I feel like they kind of, rushed it a little bit. Which again may have been because of the injury to Liv Morgan, most likely. But it's I wish we would have had some more of a transition. Also, create a little more spice. I read somewhere, someone predicted the idea of what if they lose, because, well, spoiler alert, I think Raquel and Roxanne should retain. Roxanne just got involved with this group, and it's kind of being the main focal point, especially with Liv not there right now and wondering what Liv's going to do when she gets back from her shoulder injury. Again, I still think, and this is why I don't think Judgment Day's ending yet here. I don't see AJ Styles being Dom for the IC title. I think it's way too soon to have Raquel and Roxanne drop the women's tag titles. Again, I think they need to continue on with the storyline because I still think, in the long-term plan, it's going to look like Dom's going to fall for Roxanne, but in reality is I still want to see it be Roxanne and Finn are fiddling around with Dom to get revenge on Dom for taking Finn's IC title in the spotlight at WrestleMania this past year. That's still why I think, I don't want it to be it's it's just another love angle where Dom picks Roxanne over Liv and that's that. No, I want it to be where, where Dom thinks he has Roxanne, but then the moment that they break his bond with Liv, they then basically take everything from him, basically. Even though, again, I keep saying this, I don't know who would be the face, who would be the heel, Dom or Finn. There's no reason to cheer Finn Balor, because he really has not been getting babyface momentum. And Dom is just too good of a heel to be a face, in my opinion. But anyways, yes, I still think that it's too soon to drop the titles from Raquel and Roxanne. Keep this storyline going, so keep the titles on them. And again, someone pitched the idea also of maybe because I'm still surprised they haven't had Alexa Bliss have any association with the Wyatt Six yet. Because I thought that's why they put her on SmackDown when she came back, was so she could be back with the Wyatt Six. But someone said something what if they had during this match, they lose because Nikki Cross kidnapped Alexa Bliss? Honestly, that could be interesting. That could be a nice way to, protect them in the loss. So if that happened, I'd be okay with that. But yeah, we'll see how far they go with this team with Alexa and Charlotte, and see if it continues to, get Charlotte more positive reaction. But yeah, I definitely think Raquel and Roxanne will retain the women's tag titles. Taking a break from tag matches for a moment. This match was just added just recently. Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross are having another pay-per-view match. They had one in Night of Champions, which Sami won. They had one on Raw. Karrion Kross won after hitting Sami in his bad ribs with a steel pipe. Stipulation is, if Karrion Kross wins, Sammy has to say Cross was right about what? What do I find out? Or if Cross loses, he has to say, I was wrong. So like I said, this feud is interesting. And again, it feels like a make or break moment for Karrion Kross. First off, there's been heavy rumors about his contract negotiations. Apparently, his contract's about to expire. And he hasn't signed a new deal yet. But right now, he's the guy who's like not quite getting the spotlight that everybody wants to see him have, but he's starting to. And the crowd is behind him, giving him the "We Won Cross" chance. They want Karrion Kross to be a legitimate player and be legitimately on TV in the WWE. And again, I feel the same way. I listen to his interviews. I see, the work he does. Again, he is a genius. The problem is I just he's not getting, he's just not hitting the levels that he's supposed to be hitting. And this feud with Sami Zayn, I think, works out very good. Sami is an early favorite to win next year's Royal Rumble. And right now, he's in a prime position to play the underdog character. And like I said back for Night of Champions, this feels like a position like it was whenever they had Sami and Cesaro back at NXT Arrival. Sami can get over in the loss to someone who does need to win more. And to me, I feel like if you really want to capitalize Sami on being an underdog, especially going into Royal Rumble, which, hey, I'll say this right here now too. If they don't do Seth Rollins and CM Punk for the title next year, I still think a long-term match should be Sami Zayn versus Seth Rollins for the world title next year. Just saying, that could be, that's been teased since WrestleMania 41 when they tried to recruit Sami with Rollins' new group. But I feel like if you want to make Sami's road to that victory more interesting, I think he has to lose here. I think Karrion Kross needs to win so much more. We don't know what Karrion Kross is saying he's right about with Sami Zayn. And Sami Zayn has to admit it if he loses. It's kind of like, even though it wasn't planned to be a detour for him to get back to the world title, it's kind of like when Daniel Bryan joined the Wyatt Six joined the Wyatt family. That was kind of like his little detours. Like, he kind of hit rock bottom after dealing with the Authority. Again, I know it wasn't the long-term plan, but to me, when they did, of course, get it right, it was a good, detour for him to take. And I feel like you maybe send Sami down this darker path on his way to winning the Royal Rumble. And they could do some interesting things to this if they give Karrion Kross the win and basically have Sami say what Kross has been wanting him to say for the longest time. Moments like that is what make things interesting. It's as simple as back in, 2017, 2018, whichever year it was, when Velveteen Dream got Aleister Black to say his name. And again, just personally, just these small little moments make storylines that interesting. But yes, I think Karrion Kross needs that win more. If Karrion doesn't win this match, then I'm gonna be pretty positive he's not staying. But Karrion should win this, and like I said, dive deeper into something like some rock bottom type storyline for Sami Zayn to really emphasize his underdog status going into Royal Rumble. And again, Royal Rumble's in Saudi Arabia next year. And we know how popular Sami is in Saudi Arabia. So him getting that victory, the pop he will get, I'm sure is going to be huge. So really, make this interesting and give Karrion Kross the win. So we have that match right there. Following that, we have another tag match. Randy Orton and Jelly Roll versus Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. Now, I did know that Drew McIntyre did have some, visa issues, it was earlier this week. But he shared a video on Twitter. He is, in fact, back in the United States, so he is going to be at SummerSlam. Excellent. believe it or not, we all know I used to hate celebrity matches, but I actually do dig what they're doing with Logan Paul and Jelly Roll. Believe it or not, I do. Not just the fact because I like Jelly Roll personally, but because I do feel like, they set the story up perfectly. They brought in Jelly Roll for a concert. Logan Paul dissed on him for being an outsider coming in, and then Orton's like, well, you got room to speak and whatnot. Drew being involved is a little bit random, but, because at first I thought they were going to do just Logan Paul versus Jelly Roll, but, having, two other veterans there to kind of get the rub, I think, kind of helps out Jelly Roll for sure. And again, Jelly Roll doesn't look too bad when he has, done some bumps and whatnot, especially that Boss Man Slam he did was quite epic. I thought that was really good. But easy pick to win in this one. Definitely Randy Orton and Jelly Roll. I think will win this. I don't see any reason for Logan and Drew to win this. They're not going to bring in Jelly Roll just to have him lose. They're going to give him like a celebrity moment. And again, they're not making it like the biggest part of the show. It's a small little attraction, which that all it needs to be. If that's the case, I don't mind these occasional celebrity appearances. But yeah, Randy Orton and Jelly Roll are winning this tag match for sure, in my opinion. All right, here's one though that I'm definitely concerned about. Women's Championship match: Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton. Jade Cargill won Queen of the Ring at Night of Champions, and she earned this opportunity to fight Tiffany Stratton. Tyler said in the live chat before that Jade isn't ready. And I agree. Again, I was worried they were going to give everything to Jade last year. I thought she was going to be Women's World Champion by this year's WrestleMania. Not the case. As of course she was out for a while, but still not the case. She was not ready. And I still don't think she's quite ready yet. Has she improved since she got here? Absolutely. But is she good enough that she can definitely be the girl right now in this women's division? I don't think so. That's why I am... And the thing also was, too, is now that Naomi is over on Raw as the women's world champion, shocker, now it's like, what's the point of her being involved in the storyline now? Well, she kind of still can be. Either way, I still think Tiffany should retain. Again, if you want to give Jade this match just for the experience of a main event, that's fine. That's a way to help get her better. But I don't think they should be putting the belt on her quite yet. Again, I don't think she's ready. But I think they could protect her still. I've been hearing back and forth rumors about Bianca Belair. I've been hearing she's going to get cleared this week. I'm also hearing, though, that her finger isn't healing how it's supposed to by now. I still do feel like she could have gotten a little more involved with the No Holds Barred match at Evolution. Again, I know it's because of her hand still being wrapped up. But, of course, they still have these moments like whenever Jade and Bianca see each other, they have these moments where Jade is showing she has some suspicion of Bianca. Which is leading me to believe that they are going to roll what I think they should roll with, and that is Bianca turning heel and revealing, although she wasn't the one who actually attacked Jade when Naomi did, that Bianca was still involved with planning it. She was the mastermind behind it. And now that, of course, Naomi's got her title, Bianca wants hers, and she's going to ruin the moment she's going to ruin the moment for Jade Cargill, which is, I feel like, what if Jade can really season in a feud with Bianca Belair, I think then she would be ready. But right now, not quite yet. So I'm going to predict Tiffany Stratton does retain because Jade Cargill. I'm sorry. They could go do a thing where Bianca Belair does inadvertently cost Jade the title. They could go all out with it right now, or they could wait maybe just a little bit longer. I don't know. But they could still have, the shocking events happen and have Bianca turn on Jade. And eventually, Bianca wins the women's championship. And both her and Naomi are like rulers of the women's division. Which sounds cool. Cool to me. But again, I'm just hoping this match doesn't suck. This probably might be the weakest match on the card, if I'm being honest, this match right here. Like I said, I don't think Jade's ready yet. But if they're doing this to give her the experience of a women's main event caliber match, I'll take it. Just don't give the belt to Jade yet. Tiffany retains there thanks to Bianca Belair. And then finally, the predicted main event of night 1. I almost saved both world title matches for dead last, to be honest, in general. Because of, why I'm so torn for night 2's main event. So, I have there's only 2 people I think that could win this World Heavyweight title match with Gunther and CM Punk. And one of them is not CM Punk. And I'll wait until I get to the other main event, and I'll explain why when we get there. There's only one reason why I think they would put the belt on Punk. But I'll wait again until we get to night 2's main event. But I think either Gunther's going to retain, which, could be like it somewhat is what it is, because I don't know what to do with them after that. Or, again, this could be a thing where, again, so here's my opinion. I think Seth Rollins is in fact hurt. But I feel like if he was for sure going to be out for a long time, they would have announced his diagnosis by now. The fact that they're being very secretive about it makes me feel like that he's not as bad as they think. And it could lead to him cashing in. I honestly think the only reason why they're doing this match is because they planned on having Rollins cash in. Because obviously, the person he doesn't want to be world champion is CM Punk. Which again, that's why I'm thinking this could lead to a match eventually with Seth Rollins and CM Punk for the title. But I also still feel like another long-term storyline right now is Seth Rollins and Sami Zayn for the world title for next year's WrestleMania. But I feel like this is kind of a thing with Hangman Page and Swerve, where Hangman was doing everything he could to stop Swerve from becoming champion. And that's kind of like what I feel like Rollins is going to do here with this main event match if he's healthy and cost Punk the championship. And I feel like it's going to be more so a thing where it's like, he cashes in while the match is going on, making a triple threat like Naomi did. Because at first I thought maybe Punk will win the title and Seth take it off him. I'm like, I think to make it more interesting, based off of the true agenda Seth has, I think he's got to enter the match, make it a triple threat, and that's how he costs Punk the title. But of course, I could be totally wrong with that. But that's my number 1 pick. My number 2 is definitely Gunther winning. Like I said, I only see CM Punk winning for one reason, if they do put the belt on him. And again, I'll explain that though when I get to the main event of night 2. But yeah, safest bet. My prediction, I'm still going to go a little bit high because again, I still don't know for sure what's going on with him. But I think Seth's going to make an appearance and cash in and win the world title in night 1's main event. I'm pretty sure that's the only reason why they have Gunther versus Punk on this show, just so Seth could do that. And heck, maybe he'll win the title, but he's not quite 100%. Yeah, maybe like Braun and Bronson beat him down to a pulp and Seth cashes in. We'll see though. But yeah, so night 1's predictions. I have Braun Breaker gain the win for his team, pinning Roman Reigns. And again, scratching the surface on that there's still some unresolved issues with the old bloodline. Judgment Day retain over the women's tag titles. Randy Orton and Jelly Roll win. Karrion Kross wins his match against Sami Zayn. Tiffany Stratton retains against Jade thanks to an inadvertent distraction by Bianca Belair. And I think Seth Rollins will win the world title and cash in. Or if not, Gunther's going to win that match. Again, Punk is only winning, in my opinion, if one thing happens. What that is, we'll get to that in just a moment. But before I check the live chat, let me take just a quick breather for 1 second and a quick drink of water. I'll be right back. We're back. Just needed a quick second just to, get a quick drink, freshen up. And, we're rolling again back. So before we get to night 2, which I'm definitely more excited for, to be honest. I think night 1 will be good. Night 2, though, is going to be a little bit more interesting. But we're going to talk about it in just a second. Let's check our live chat again, see if Tyler has anything more to say. Nobody else joined us, but we do have Tyler saying, of course, fire Logan Paul. And the main women's title match is going to be awful. Are you referring to the triple threat match, which I think I disagree. That match is going to be fire, in my opinion. Or the Tiffany and Jade match, which, again, that is probably the match I'm concerned the most for. Like, if I got to pick a match that's probably going to be the weakest, it's probably going to be that one, if I'm being 100% real. But we'll see, though. He said the SmackDown one. I agree. Yeah, the Raw one's going to be fired. That one's going to be great. Who wins, though, that one? I'm still kind of torn on that. But we'll talk about it all here right now. So, originally, I was going to have night 2 open up with that women's triple threat match. Because, of course, night 2 WrestleMania opened up with the women's triple threat match for the world title with Io, Bianca, and Rhea. And we got maybe a number 1 or number 2 match of the year, in my opinion. So I thought that was how it was going to open up. But then on SmackDown this past Friday, they announced a 6-team TLC match for the WWE Tag Team Championships. We're getting the champions, the Wyatt Six, DIY, which is Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, Motor City Machine Guns, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley, the Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, Fraxium, Nathan Frazier and Axiom, and Andrade and Rey Fenix. Again, this is going to be a 6-team TLC match. I'm pretty sure there's 2 reasons why they're doing this. One, because it's the 25th anniversary of the first TLC match with Edge and Christian. 2, because they're making up for not having the first TLC match they had on the SmackDown after Mania, the triple threat with Street Profits, DIY, and Motor City Machine Guns on the WrestleMania card. That match was more so like another moment where it's like we should have been at WrestleMania. So this is kind of making up for this 6-team tag match. I gotta address one concern I have about this, though. Is anyone besides me a little worried that the Wyatt Six feel like the Bludgeon Brothers? Because, and this isn't entirely their fault, but I still feel like, in my opinion, they should have never split up the men's tag titles. I just feel like the depth is not there for each show to have their own set of men's tag titles. SmackDown's is definitely the better division. I'll give it that. These are 6 quality teams. But Raw has New Day, Judgment Day, War Raiders, Creed Brothers. Like, there's some, but it's like none of them feel like they're legitimate contenders. You can kind of say things about SmackDown. Like I said, tag team wrestling has not been booked well at all over the past few years. And that's another thing I will knock Triple H for since he became Charter Creative. He really hasn't done a good job with the tag team division. But take away, that issue, this match could possibly steal the show of the weekend. Again, even if, they haven't, Motor City Machine Guns, they're great wrestlers, haven't done much since they came in. DIY, I love them, but it still feels like they're relying on nostalgia for them. Fraxium just got here, but still think they're great. Andrade and Phoenix, like I said, I like them, but it bothers me that they're putting Rey Fenix in a tag team with someone else. When I thought the whole point of having him and Penta on separate shows is to have them be their own stars until they form their tag team. Street Profits, fine with them. Then, of course, the Wyatt Six. Which, like I said, though, that's the only thing, though, is because they booked tag team wrestling so bad. Like, are they going to make the Wyatt Six like the Bludgeon Brothers, where it's like all matches are basically squash matches and not that interesting? But, of course, that's going to change because we have, again, this TLC match. I expect this. I don't like to set my expectations too high unless I'm really positive. This is a match where I'm going to set the expectations high. I'm expecting crazy spot, car crash burner. That's going to probably steal the show for the weekend. And hopefully be a possibility in my top 10 best matches of the year for sure. Wyatt Six, though, I think easily are going to retain, though, if I'm being honest. They just got the titles. They're definitely, needs to be featured as one of the strongest things in the company. So I'm picking them to win. I think they're going to retain, and I think this is going to be the match of the weekend. That's my opinion there. So we're going to open up with that. Second match, give a cool down from that TLC match. Dominic Mysterio and AJ Styles. Again, definitely like a cool down match. Nothing against both these men. They're awesome. I have enjoyed kind of like this being kind of like the comedic relief storyline where Dom wasn't clear to wrestle for Night of Champions. He's been shoving that doctor's note in AJ's face. And then AJ's just like trying to get like more like a comedy side to like the... Or my favorite was still when he was on his hands and knees, praying to God, begging him to clear Dominic Mysterio. He's like, "Dear God, please clear Dominic Mysterio." I thought it was hilarious. But like I said, I think this will be a nice cool down match. Dominic's not dropping that title yet. Now, I know some people thought it was interesting to have AJ Styles involved in this, because what if they had Finn Balor work with AJ Styles, since they have like previous history with the Bullet Club? But I'm not really getting that vibe. Again, it still feels like Judgment Day is still in the early stages of this Roxanne Perez angle. So I feel like, although I would have loved to have them split by now, I feel like this Roxanne Perez storyline is kind of given a little bit more outlet, more mileage. It's like George Costanza says, every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in. And like I said, I still feel like the long-term plan should be Roxanne tries to basically get Dom to pay more attention to her. I mean, for crying out loud, she not only that she got him chicken nuggets, she also bought him a Nintendo Switch too. Which someday I'll get to that. Not yet. I can't roll right now, but someday maybe I'll get the Switch too. But for now, I'm fine with the Switch one. Also, I'm buying Backyard Baseball Match 97 next week when I get paid, and that might be my next video game live stream. Is that game? Maybe. Anyways, but back on track. I think because of the Roxanne storyline, it's kind of add on a little bit more mileage to Judgment Day. I know I kind of want them to end too, but the injury to Liv and Roxanne, I think it's going to be here for a little bit longer. So either way, Dom's retaining against AJ Styles. As simple as that fact is. All right, then I think we'll do the triple threat match for the Women's World Championship. Naomi versus Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley. And the winner of this match will be going on to Clash in Paris to fight the Dark Angel, the master of the Devil's Kiss, Stephanie Vaquer, who we all know I'm a huge fan of for sure. And if someone who is worthy of a rocket ship push, it's her. Now, here's the thing though. Who does she fight? So, here's the one thing I don't want to happen. If Naomi isn't gonna win this match, I don't want her taking the pin. I don't want this to be a whole Nikki Ash situation from SummerSlam 2021 where they only put her in this situation just so someone else can eat the pin. I don't want that to happen for Naomi. Again, I feel like the WWE is getting a lot more out of this Naomi heel character than they thought they were going to get. I think it would be best to keep the title on her. Like I said, if they're going to be bringing back Bianca Belair and she's going heel, I think they should treat it like Bianca and Naomi wanted to take over the entire women's division on both shows, and that's exactly what they're going to do. So I think that should be the direction they go with it. And I think Naomi should retain. But also, like I said, honestly, if I had a choice, if Naomi was not going to win, I would rather have it be Rhea than Io. Only because, and don't get me wrong, Io Sky they've been taking the cuffs off of her when they've allowed her to wrestle this year. And she has put on many, many match of the year candidates when she's wrestled. The triple threat at WrestleMania, the main event of Evolution, even the series of matches she's had with Stephanie Vaquer. And I like that when she's wrestled Stephanie Vaquer, they both haven't edited clean finishes, but they give us the suspense of like, goodness gracious, when the time does come when there must be a winner, who will it be? I don't think Clash in Paris though is where that should go. I still think I'm lost train of thought totally. I'm sorry. I still think eventually we are going to get back to Io and Rhea. But if they want to continue that storyline where again Rhea just can't beat Io, you could do that one-on-one without the title. Honestly, if you want to do that match at Crown Jewel and have Rhea kind of break that curse in her home country, I'm all for that. But I still think Naomi should retain the title here. Again, the other two don't really need it. Like I said, a dream match with Stephanie and Rhea, awesome. Stephanie and Io, yes. But again, because of the history they've already built with Stephanie and Io, that should wait for a little bit. Again, maybe that's going to be the women's title match at WrestleMania next year. I don't know. Because that is already a field like you don't know who's going to win when that happens. But I think it'll be Naomi retaining, again, as she should. Don't make her a transitional champion just to eat a pin. Literally go all in with this. Have Bianca come back to turn heel. She wins the title maybe at Clash of Paris or something. And have it be this thing where it's like Naomi and Bianca have both taken over the division. Of course, there is one thing that could hold that back for a little bit. Which again, I'll mention it more so the concept from the main event night too. But I have Naomi retaining and another possible match of the weekend contender, right, for sure. Then we have the United States Championship match inside of a steel cage. Sol Sikoa, the United States Champion, taking on the Samoan Werewolf. No gas! All brakes! You know what I mean? Jacob Fatu taking on him inside of a steel cage. This one is also tough to predict. They could just put the belt back on Jacob. But if I'm being 100% honest, does Jacob really need to run the mid-cards right now? Or is he someone that you could put right in the main event scene? If I'm being 100% real, because I've sat on this one. Because originally when I announced Steel Cage, I'm like, okay, Jacob all the way. But the more I've thought about it, I'm going to go with Solo. And here's why. Not only does it already make us feel like this is Jacob's territory, this is his yard, the Steel Cage, where nobody can get in and help Solo. I still feel, though, that they need to finally give Solo the results in the ring. Jacob will be okay. Jacob, again, can move on to the main event scene. He doesn't need to have a long-term run with this United States Championship. There could be some things they could do with him still. Yes, they did tease a match with him and Damian Priest, I know. But I feel like, if you want to move to the main event scene now, I'm not going to complain. The biggest complaint I've had about Solo, and he is just forming this new group with Tonga Loa and JC Mateo, and now Tala Tonga. Last year when he formed his alliance with Jacob and Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, I was all in on it. Until he started not having the results in the ring. And I still think no matter what he's dealt with, Solo Sikoa has had some great character work the past year and a half. And he's still doing it with his MFTs. So I really think if you really want to get Solo going in the right direction, I think you got to give him this win. I think you have to continue giving him the results in the ring. Again, you just formed this new group with JC Mateo and Talatonga involved in there as well. You don't want to already squander to make them look weak like he did last year. Give Solo the in-ring results he needs. And Jacob goes to the main event scene. So I'm picking Solo. Now, of course, we could have Jimmy try to get involved as well. And I do possibly see maybe Tama Tonga returning. But if Tama Tonga returns, I think he's going to turn face and join up with Jacob. Because I feel like he, out of him and Tonga Loa, if anyone that we're going to get over, it'd be Tama Tonga. Especially since Tama Tonga has a little bit more of a personality than Tonga Loa. Tonga's kind of like just a quiet third wheel, if I'm being honest. But I still think this is Solo's match to win. Again, I was going to go Jacob, but I'm like, they just reformed they just formed these MFTs. I don't think they should kill all the momentum right away. So, I think Solo should win this. Again, character work, he's phenomenal. Give him, though, the in-ring results that he has deserved. That he should have had last year. Again, last year they were giving it to him, and then when he challenged Cody for the world title, I didn't care. Because I knew he wasn't ready, and I knew they were going to pull the title off of Cody when they were. So, I think Solo should win that match. Following that, we have 2 matches left. This one, I'm also a little back and forth about. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. There are no countouts, no disqualifications. There must be a winner. And if Lyra doesn't beat Becky here, she cannot challenge Becky for the championship as long as Becky is champion. Which, first off, why not just call it no holds barred? I get it, we have a street fight in the main event, but why not just call it no holds barred? The no countouts and no disqualifications must be a winner. It's the same thing. Just call it that, in my opinion. But, whatever. Anyways, so here's the problem I have with this match. Well, I know it's going to be great. Becky and Lyra have outstanding chemistry. Their match at Backlash has definitely been their best one-on-one match. The triple threat they had with Bayley at Evolution was also, in my opinion, a match of the year contender. This match in ring is going to be great. I still think, though, this match for SummerSlam should have been Bayley and Becky. Because here's the tough call here. Well, first, the results. I think either way, Becky's retaining. I don't think they're going to give the belt back to Lyra. But Bayley's going to be getting involved in this somehow. And the best way is for her to inadvertently cost Lyra the championship. Now, after the match, I think that's when Lyra will turn heel. Because I also thought about this, because I remember for Evolution, I was predicting they were going to have Becky retain by Lyra helping Becky retain. Because I really think Lyra needs to go heel. Again, in-ring Lyra is amazing. Microphone skills and character, she's improving, but she's not there yet. But there's also people thinking that Bayley's just going to cost Lyra the match and turn heel. In my opinion, this is the time I'm going to say Bayley going heel is not a good idea. A year ago, when she was struggling to really connect, maybe. But here's my thing. The fans are not happy that Bayley got written off of WrestleMania. They're also not happy that she didn't get the match at SummerSlam. I feel like they're finally giving Bayley that babyface sympathy that they probably wanted her to have a year ago. So why would you squander and have her turn heel on someone who definitely needs the heel turn more? Because of that, like I said, I do feel like they should have had this be Becky and Bayley, which would have made the Lyra heel turn much easier. Because it's more of a thing where it's like, it's like, I don't want to completely repeat, Tribal Chief, but it's like Lyra's joining Becky because she thinks Becky's now speaking the truth and she understands. And if Lyra's like, if I can't beat her, which she has, she goes, I'll just join her, basically. I feel like, even though Lyra won't be fighting Becky anymore, still working with her is going to help her improve. So I think, again, Becky's going to retain thanks to inadvertent interference from Bayley, who maybe just wants to be out there to support Lyra and try to make up. Like, she tried to make up with her for getting them the tag title match recently on Raw that they were supposed to have at WrestleMania they didn't get to have. Becky, though, screwed them, though, in that match. So, Bayley's going to get involved, yes. But, of course, the other thing, too, is they may not have Lyra turn heel here. Maybe, like, a Clash in Paris or further down the line on Raw or something. Because, let's also mention this. They have been giving the Women's IC title much more of a spotlight than the Women's World title. That is one knock I'll also give. Like, obviously, Becky Lynch is the bigger name, yes. But that's the reason why Io's title reign suffered, was because they gave a lot more attention to this Becky and Lyra storyline than Io's storyline. But, again, they could have Becky retain here, and then Bayley beats Becky in her next title defense, and Lyra wants that because then she can fight for a title again, and that's when Lyra turns heel. I, again, just still think Lyra needs to turn more than Bayley. Again, Bayley, I feel like, is, because the fans, are wanting Bayley booked better, I feel like that's getting her the babyface sympathy that they wanted to give her a year ago. So that's where I'm going to stick with. Becky retains, Lyra goes heel. Could be here, or it could be whenever Bayley fights Becky next. So, that's my prediction on that one. Again, I still think they should have done Becky and Bayley one-on-one for this show, but that would happen. All right, it's time now for the big match to talk about. Probably the toughest one for me to predict on this card for sure. The main event of SummerSlam, Night 2, John Cena, the 17-time champion, taking on the American Nightmare, the King of the Ring for 2025, Cody Rhodes, in a rematch from WrestleMania 41 for the Undisputed WWE Championship in a street fight. So, the street fight stipulation does make it more interesting. Again, I didn't want a complete WrestleMania rematch after WrestleMania rematch. Street fight does make this interesting, especially with the whole storyline that Cody Rhodes flinched at WrestleMania. When he had his chance to strike Cena with the title, he did it because he thought, if he did, he would get disqualified. Well, now, of course, striking him with the championship is perfectly legal in this match. Even though, of course, they could have done something else. But anyways, they're not going to really get down that path there. So, yes, this match is going to be a street fight. It could be interesting. It could not go as well as WrestleMania. Which, again, I'm going to continue to reiterate my thoughts on John Cena's heel character. Do I think it's been hurt? The story's been hurt a little because of The Rock and Travis Scott being involved when it happened and then not having any other involvement again. Yes, I agree that has hurt it. But I still think the biggest reason why fans are disappointed in this John Cena heel run is because they're not getting the heel John Cena they've always wanted. As I keep defending, this John Cena, if we would have gotten this heel turn in 2012, we would have had a totally different John Cena. This is a John Cena who's about to be out the door. This is him basically getting revenge on all the fan backlash he got for how many years. And, him, not changing up his theme, just coming in and just finding whatever it takes to win and not entertaining us. That's his job. Again, it's a very old school mentality, but it works. Because, let's face it, if we would have gotten a babyface John Cena this whole year, it would have, one, been boring, for sure, because it would just been all nostalgia. He probably would have lost all of his matches, but also, it would have felt like when Kurt Angle was retiring, and basically everybody he fought had to reduce themselves to make them not look so weak. John Cena with this heel persona, this desperation on him, even though I do like that they're playing into the storyline where he's fighting his new monstrosity. I do like that. But I will say this too, don't take that too fast either. Like they did with the Charlotte and Alexa thing. Don't take John Cena, fighting with, his morals, faster either. Are there something they could have done better? Yes. I'm going to mention this. You guys are going to think I'm insane. When he tag teamed with Logan Paul for Money in the Bank, I was actually behind the idea of John Cena being the reason why Logan Paul won the world title. Yes, that's me, who is not a fan of Logan Paul whatsoever, but the reason why is I still stands out to me that John Cena wants to ruin wrestling on his way out to get his revenge on the fans. And when he confronted Jey Uso at Saturday Night's Main Event back in May, and he said something like, man, wouldn't it be embarrassing to have a YouTuber as your world champion? And I'm like, if that's a way of ruining professional wrestling, that works. Which again, that's why I didn't want him to do it that night, but I was kind of like, they could go all the way and have Logan Paul win the world title because of John Cena. So again, that's something they could have dug deeper with. John Cena ruining wrestling by injecting that poison and making a YouTuber your world champion, Or, I don't know, like, like something else, like maybe also being part of Seth Rollins' bitch, like I predicted Seth Rollins to be costing Cody Rhodes, or I don't know. Like, there's some things they could have dug deeper with. But, what they're giving us, I still think is the best they could be doing for John Cena. That being said, when it comes to the results of this match, I know people are saying Cody's going to be the one to dethrone Cena, which I think is dumb. Again, nothing against Cody, but why have John beat Cody, then just drop it back to Cody? To me, it does nothing. I still think someone else should dethrone John Cena. But I'll be honest, I don't know who that someone... I'm not 100% sure who that someone else is. Maybe an LA Knight. Maybe a Jacob Fatu. Maybe even a Braun Breaker. If they continue down this storyline with John like fighting his, his morals and whatnot. Heck, I think Tyler's probably going to say it. AJ Styles, I would be okay with dethroning John Cena as well. That would be a nice match to throw back as well. So, but here is the other little rabbit hole. The thing that's been pitched is this possible idea of a double turn. Of Cody Rhodes turning heel and John Cena turning face. Pulling off a double turn in this match. I'll be honest. That idea does excite me. It's just either way, whether you do it or not, I still think it's too soon to turn John Cena back to being a face. I still think John Cena should be a heel until his last match in December, which I still say needs to be an I quit match. And him saying I quit is going to turn him face and humble him as he retires. I think if you turn John Cena face now, it's gonna kind of leave the rest of his reign a little pointless. His retirement tour a little pointless, if I'm being honest. I just think it's too soon. If it was a few months down the line, maybe I would have been more open to the idea. Again, it sounds brilliant on paper, which I think that would happen if The Rock would show up, because we all know The Rock originally pitched he wanted Cody to go heel. But when I mentioned these storylines that I've mentioned, especially what I did with Lyra and Becky, like with Lyra going heel and joining forces with Becky, I feel like with The Rock, if they are going to bring back The Rock, again, because I'm not going to believe it until I see it, you got to have him fight Cody. And then maybe after The Rock fights Cody, maybe that's when Cody goes heel, because he realizes that, he can't beat the final boss. And maybe, The Rock basically just pushes Cody over that edge and forces him to join forces with him. But, and this is something I didn't want to give away when I was talking about the women's match earlier. Here's the only reason why I think they may put the belt on Cody. Because I'm thinking long term here. When we get the crown jewel, are they still doing the what's it called? The Crown Jewel Championship. Because if they are, I don't know if John Cena and Gunther is a match I really want to see. I feel like it's one that's been thrown around, but both of them being like very old school. And plus two, who would you have win that match? I don't think any of them should win that match. Should be losing that match, if I'm being honest. So, I honestly would be okay if they are doing that, if they did John Cena and Seth Rollins. Because John Cena and Seth Rollins do have history. And I feel like that if Cena's going to be even more vulnerable with his morals by then, I think Seth Rollins is a good person to kind of pick apart the bones of John Cena. Maybe Gunther can pull that off, but I trust Seth more than Gunther with that. And then the thing too is, what if CM Punk wins? They've already done Cena and Punk. I feel like, that chapter's closed. I feel like that if they're going to still do the Crown Jewel Championship, they may put the belt on Cody so they could do Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk. Even though, quite frankly, that should be a WrestleMania match. That should be a WrestleMania match. But I do think that's a possibility. And honestly, out of all the ones I mentioned, probably the most interesting champion versus champion match they could do this year. Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk. Champion versus champion. Because I think if Cody just beats Cena as a babyface and Cena stays heel, that's gonna be kind of like a worst case scenario. Because I thought about too is you could also do Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins, but again, the big thing is I still think it's too soon for John Cena to go back to being a babyface. So I think some way, somehow, whether The Rock does get involved and make up for what he should have been involved with in the first place, I think John Cena should retain. I don't think John Cena should be dropping a title just yet. Or turning face just yet, if I'm being real with you guys. So, I'm going to stick with that. Like I said, the only reason why they may put the belt on Cody is if they want to do him versus Punk for the Crown Jewel title at Crown Jewel. So, we'll have to wait and see. And plus two, get back to the women. Let's say, even though I don't think they should, they do go with Jade winning the championship. And they want to put off the Bianca heel turn. They could wait to do the women's Crown Jewel title between Jade and Naomi with the titles involved. And that's maybe where Bianca turns on Jade. If they don't do it at SummerSlam. I still think, though, they should keep the belt on Tiffany, though. And heck, you could do Tiffany, Stratton, and Naomi. They do kind of have some unfinished business too. So them fighting champion versus champion, I think, would work too. But like I said, with John Cena, if John Cena is going to be doing a Crown Jewel match, I would rather have it be him and Seth. If they never took the belt off of Jay, I was going to be totally cool with him versus Jay, but I don't think Jay's getting that belt back. I really don't. Maybe him and Gunther will work, but I don't know. Something's just missing from that match. Maybe, again, since they're both very old school, I don't know, but we'll see what happens. But I think John should retain, if I'm being 100% real. Whew, and that does it, guys. I got through everything. My SummerSlam preview and predictions. Again, for night one, to go over my predicted results again. I think the show will open up with Roman and Jay versus Braun and Bronson. Braun Breaker will get the win by pinning Roman Reigns. And again, they will still tease that there's some unfinished problems with Roman and Jay. Raquel and Roxanne will retain the women's tag titles. Karrion Kross will beat Sami Zayn. Randy Orton and Jelly Roll will win their tag match. Tiffany Stratton will retain over Jade Cargill. And Seth Rollins my main prediction is Seth Rollins cashes in on Gunther to win the title by pinning Punk. That, I guess, I think is my only title change I predicted for this whole weekend. Because I have the Wyatt Six retaining the TLC match. Dominic retains over AJ, and it could get some help from Roxanne Perez. Naomi retains her title, which I forgot to mention this. If they aren't going to have Bianca turn heel on this show, another possibility for Naomi's outcome in her match could maybe be a debuting Lash Legend. Because I was very impressed with Lash Legend in that women's battle royale. She has improved a lot. And if they want to call her up, Make her Naomi's muscle. That could work pretty good. So that is another option I forgot to mention when I talked about the women's triple threat. Solo, I think, will retain against Jacob Fatu. But I will say that again, that if Tama Tonga shows up in that match, I think he will turn face. But I still think Solo needs to win more than Jacob. Becky Lynch will retain against Lyra Valkyria thanks to Bayley interference. And Lyra will go heel eventually, not Bayley. And through some means necessary, I think John Cena is going to walk out of SummerSlam still with the undisputed WWE title. All right, let's check the live chat one last time before we go off the air here. Tyler said, just don't give Rhea the belt again. SmackDown has a better tag team division than Raw. Solo, I hate you, LOL. He thinks Bayley's going to turn heel. It's too soon to give Cody the belt again. I agree. It should have AJ be the one to beat Cena. And stay tuned on his second channel to review SummerSlam 2019 if you want to see it. Maybe I'll take a look at it, Tyler. But Tyler, thank you for your thoughts in the live chat. I didn't get as lively of a live chat as I was hoping to for this stream. But, it's still good. And I did do it at a good time. Got my thoughts out there. I'm very pleased with it. Didn't feel rushed. Didn't feel like I just went through the motions with it. Again, still trying to get my groove back because I did kind of cool off on YouTube this month, which again is also why I did post those couple videos when I went to the Pirate game last Saturday. So some pretty cool stuff, grabbing an O'Neal Cruz home run, a pierogi race, and that Peanuts themed drone show was actually really good as well, which I saw that eclipsed 1,000 views. Let me check something here. Did somebody go watch my SummerSlam card on YouTube to give it its 1,000th view? Please tell me it did. It still says 999. Come on, guys. But, I still have some decent momentum going on the channel, so I will at least be accepting of that for sure. So, guys, yes, I will check out now and go relax for my rest of the evening. Again, maybe I'll try to get some more content uploaded. We'll see. Again, like I said, I just try to get back into swing of things. I definitely kind of backed off this past month, but, just trying to get my groove back, get out of, the funks I've been in, and again, just continue to have fun on here. Again, hopefully, though, for the SummerSlam review, I will have some cooler graphics, which again, like I said, I know I have just Premiere right now, so not as good as before, but something like highlighting all the matches rather than just, the poster like I have right here. But we'll see, of course, what happens for Sunday. And again, hopefully for the Raw and SmackDown reviews, I will get the refreshed, simplified backgrounds done soon as well, and get back to some other things on the channel as well. I gotta get back also to editing my best and worst match series. I have not touched those all summer. Again, I've just been so busy. But yeah, so stay tuned as always for more to come on the channel, The Club of the Man 1993. Leave you guys thoughts and your predictions for SummerSlam 2025 as well down in the comments section below. Slap a like on the video, guys, and subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter as well at The Club of the Man 93. Also follow me on TikTok and on Instagram at The Club of the Man 1993. And until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch you all later. Have a great rest of your night. And do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself. And that is not just an opinion, my friends. That is a fact of life. Yeah!